In my past life, I loved Ezra Gu so much that I was willing to give up everything for him, so when he was in a car accident and needed emergency surgery, at the brink of life and death, I didn't hesitate to use a drug that was not yet approved, saving his life. However, after he recovered, Lena Chi filed a lawsuit against me. The name signed as a witness on her complaint was none other than Ezra Gu. I was dismissed from the hospital and had my medical license revoked, meaning I could no longer practice medicine. Lena Chi took my place and became the chief physician. Ezra Gu said to me, "Myra Ching, this opportunity is very important for Lena. She has nothing, while you, even if you can't be a doctor anymore, still have me in Xingran." So I devoted myself entirely to my family, becoming a full-time mom. Yet, in their eyes, my efforts quietly turned into something else. Ezra Gu always used work as an excuse to be seen everywhere with Lena Chi. New colleagues at the hospital would mistake them for a couple, praising them as a perfect match, talented and beautiful, made for each other. Even our son, on my birthday, would cling to Lena Chi's hand and whimper, "Auntie Lena, I wish you were my mom. You're gentler than her, and your job is more respectable." I couldn't bear to listen any longer and took the initiative to ask Ezra Gu for a divorce. I went alone to the seaside to clear my mind, only to encounter a child being swept into the sea by the waves. I saved her, but I remained in the sea forever. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 1 month before Ezra Gu's car accident. A colleague approached me with an envious tone and said, "Myra Ching, the leader just announced in the meeting that you'll be representing our hospital for the training at Beihai next month. If all goes well, you'll be promoted to attending physician when you return." I smiled and nodded in gratitude. In my previous life, when the same opportunity arose, I received news of Ezra Gu's car accident just an hour before departure. Without hesitation, I rushed back to the hospital to perform his surgery. Upon learning this, Lena Chi volunteered to take my place and went to Beihai instead. Only later did I find out that the reason for his car accident was simply because it was Lena Chi's birthday that day. He had driven halfway across the city to buy her favorite cake and ended up crashing into a bridge pier on his way back. I put away my phone and walked to the balcony of the office. Looking down, I saw Ezra Gu, who had just told me he was exhausted from performing 3 surgeries, holding his phone and taking photos of Lena Chi under the cherry blossom tree. "Senior, how is it? Did you take a good picture?" Lena Chi's face was flushed with excitement as she looked at him expectantly. "You look beautiful. You'll look good in any photo." I tried hard to recall. In the 7 years we've been married, it seems he's never taken a single photo of me like this. But now, it doesn't matter anymore. "Ezra Gu," I called downstairs. Their eyes met, and for a moment, his expression turned awkward. "Since you still have time to help others take photos, you probably aren't as tired as you just told me. Xingran's parent-teacher meeting this afternoon. You can go attend it for him." His brows furrowed slightly, and he opened his mouth as if about to say something. Lena Chi beside him quickly interjected first, "Sister Myra Ching, don't misunderstand. I just thought the cherry blossoms were so beautiful, so I asked Senior to take a photo for me as a keepsake, that's all. After being married for so many years, don't you understand your husband's character yet?" Lena Chi has always been skilled at distancing herself from problems and then shifting the blame onto others. In the past, hearing them say such things would make me feel that I was indeed being presumptuous, and I would immediately apologize. It was precisely because of my continuous weakness and concessions that everyone came to see me as insignificant and felt they could walk all over me. But now, I will never do that again. I smiled at her and said, "I just asked him to attend Xingran's parent-teacher meeting. Shouldn't he, as a father, do that?" As soon as I finished speaking, I caught a glimpse of Ezra Gu's probing and slightly astonished gaze. In the past, I took care of everything at home, allowing him to be a hands-off husband for 7 years without a care. The sudden change might have taken him by surprise, but I paid no attention and turned back to my office, closing the balcony door behind me. Not long after, there was a knock on the office door. I got up to open it. Ezra Gu stood at the door holding a dessert. "Some interns just brought me some snacks, and I grabbed a little cake for you." I stared at him for a long time. He seemed puzzled by my gaze and touched his face, asking, "What's wrong? Is there something on my face?" "Ezra Gu, Don't you know I'm allergic to cream? He froze, the hand holding the cake instantly faltered. I forced a smile. Take it back, how would he know? He just doesn't care about me. All these years, he has hardly ever celebrated my birthday. Every time it's his or Jiyu Xingran's birthday, seeing my efforts. He feels a bit guilty, then tells me he was too busy and forgot my birthday. And then the next year, the cycle repeats. I used to tell myself not to mind these trivial matters, that he was just a straightforward person, and that marriage was about mutual tolerance. But when I found out he would go to great lengths for Lena Chi's birthday, I realized how foolish my initial thoughts had been. As I was about to close the door again, he blocked it with the doorframe. After a long pause, he finally spoke slowly, his tone full of remorse. Myra Ching, I'm sorry. I smiled at him. It's fine. It's not like I just met you today. Hearing this, he let out a sigh of relief, then he looked at me and invited. I'll take Xingran to his parent-teacher meeting this afternoon and then drop him off at my mom's place. How about we have dinner together tonight? We haven't had a meal alone together in a long time. It has been quite a while. The first thing I used to do after work was go home to buy groceries and cook, even though both Ezra Gu and I worked at the hospital. But back then, I liked him, so I felt I could give more for him. Now, I don't want to do such meaningless things anymore. Okay, I agreed. This seems like the perfect time to tell him about my divorce plans. He left happily. In the evening, he messaged me saying he'd be waiting in his car at the main gate. I changed clothes and went out, through the crowd. I saw Lena Chi standing in front of him from afar. She looked upset, saying something to him. As she spoke, she lowered her head and tears began to fall. Ezra Gu raised his hand and patted her shoulder. The next second, Lena Chi leaned into his embrace. In the blink of an eye, my gaze met Lena Chi's, flustered. She sprang away from Ezra Gu's arms and frantically waved at me, saying, Sister Myra Ching. Don't misunderstand, but how could I miss the fleeting triumph in her eyes? Myra Ching. The cat Lena is raising is sick. I have to accompany her to the vet. Let's have dinner another day, Ezra Gu said to me. Before I could respond, Lena Chi sobbed and spoke up. Senior, it's okay. You should go have dinner with Myra Ching. I can manage alone. You shouldn't make Myra Ching unhappy because of me. What a perfect green tea bitch. Ezra Gu looked at her with heartache. His expression somewhat troubled. But what about you, Ezra? Since Lena Chi said she can handle it herself, let's go eat. After speaking, he not only received Ezra Gu's surprised gaze but also Lena Chi's disbelief. Because if it were the old me, faced with such a situation, I would definitely be the one silently enduring it. Lena Chi took my reaction for granted, which is why she dared to make such hypocritical remarks, ignoring their gazes. I opened the passenger door and got in without hesitation. Ezra Gu was still standing there in shock. I opened the window and looked at him. What? Not leaving? As Ezra Gu drove away, I saw Lena Chi's sullen face in the rearview mirror, her expression dark and menacing. It was a stark contrast to her usual cheerful, smiling self. The car sped along the elevated highway, and Ezra Gu and I remained silent, both understanding the unspoken tension, his absent-minded demeanor. I saw it all. After 10 minutes, it suddenly started raining outside, and his phone rang abruptly. The name Lena Chi flashed incessantly on the screen. He glanced at me, and I turned my head the other way. He pressed to answer, and Lena Chi's anxious voice came through. Senior, what should I do? She started crying. Lena, don't panic. Take your time and tell me. The doctor just said that Mimi is unconscious now and won't wake up no matter what. The situation is very dangerous. I'm so scared. I don't know what to do now that I'm alone. Can you come with me? I'm really scared. Ezra Gu didn't speak, just turned his gaze toward me. If I told you not to go, would you listen? I said quietly. The sound of a girl crying sadly came from the other end. He said, I'm sorry, Myra Ching. He left me under the overpass. Even though it was pouring rain outside, he didn't have time to listen to what I had to say, turned around, and quickly disappeared into the night. I watched the neon-lit traffic flow in the night, forcing an awkward smile in the direction where he disappeared. Ezra Gu, I gave you a chance. I took a taxi home. Jiyu Xingran was at his grandmother's place, so no one was home now. I pulled out my suitcase and started packing my things. While packing, I suddenly realized how few of my belongings were in this house over the years. Erasing traces of my life here would be all too easy. In the past, I always prioritized the needs of my husband and son, neglecting myself in the process. In this home, I had grown accustomed to putting myself last. On the dressing table, a necklace caught my eye. That was when Ezra Gu and I had just started dating. The first gift he gave me, and it seems like the only one too. I treasured it so much that I couldn't even bear to wear it. I kept it carefully stored away, untouched, only taking it out occasionally to look at before putting it back at bedtime. He would often tease me, saying I was making too big a deal out of it. But now, this necklace is nothing but irony and a joke to me. I took it out, examined it carefully in my hand, and then threw it into the trash without a second thought. As I was about to leave, I felt the ring on my finger. It was my wedding ring with Ezra Gu. I took it off and placed it on the living room coffee table, along with the divorce papers. I moved into the hospital dormitory. At 10 in the evening, Ezra Gu called me repeatedly. It seems he saw the divorce papers after returning home. I didn't answer and simply turned off my phone. In the early morning, the dormitory door was knocked on. The sound urgent. Opening the door, Ezra Gu stood at the threshold looking disheveled, his hair tousled by the wind, his coat bearing traces of being drenched by the rain. Upon seeing me, he leaned against the doorframe and let out a deep sigh of relief. "Myra Ching, what's wrong with you? Stop messing around, okay, come home with me." As he spoke, he reached out to grab my wrist. I forcefully shook him off. "Ezra Gu, stop playing dumb." His expression froze, and he fell silent for a moment. "I've already signed the divorce papers. You go back and sign them, and we'll go through with it next week." "Myra Ching, are you mad at me?" he asked cautiously. "You've always known that I only see Lena Chi as a younger sister. Her parents passed away early, and she struggled through college alone to become a doctor. It's not easy for a young girl, so I thought I'd help where I could. Don't overthink it, okay? I truly have never done anything to wrong you." I glanced at him. "Ezra Gu, do you really think I need to catch you in the act to say you've cheated? As my husband, you've repeatedly left me behind to help another woman. You can't remember my birthday, yet you remember every important date about her. You never cared about my preferences. You didn't even know I'm allergic to cream. But you remember every little detail about her, like how she doesn't add cilantro to her hot pot dipping sauce. Do you really think these don't count as cheating?" "Senior brother." Lena Chi walked over from the hallway. "Sister Myra Ching, did you two have a fight? Was it because of me?" She stood in front of me with an innocent expression. I'm sorry, Sister Myra Ching. Please don't misunderstand, Senior. It was me." Suddenly, without any warning, she began bowing and apologizing to me. "Don't let your feelings get hurt because of me. There's really nothing between me and Senior brother." I didn't want to watch her act, so I turned around to close the door. Ezra Gu quickly blocked it with his hand, his voice trembling slightly. "Myra Ching, don't worry. I'll sort everything out and give you an explanation." After he finished speaking, I caught a glimpse of Lena Chi behind me suddenly changing her expression. I closed the door and paid no further attention. In my previous life, I sacrificed my future to secure one for him and Lena Chi, only to end up with a pitiful and destitute outcome. This time around, I just want to quickly sever ties with him and then live a good life from now on. The next day at work, before I even reached the office, I saw Ezra Gu already standing at the door with breakfast in hand. When he saw me, his eyes lit up, and he ran toward me. "I went to that breakfast shop by the school gate this morning just to buy your favorite shumai." Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed the shop's name printed on the bag. It's the one at our university gate, which is also over 20 kilometers from home. Yet, I didn't feel the slightest bit moved. I only found it inexplicably ridiculous. I brushed aside his outstretched hand. Declining politely, I said, "No need, I've already eaten. And also, Ezra Gu, please remember, no matter what you do, I won't change my mind about the divorce." His smile froze on his face. He stood motionless in the hallway. Colleagues passing by greeted him, but he only responded with a numb, absent-minded nod. "Myra Ching." I was about to leave when he called out to me. "Today is Xingran's birthday." Oh, right, now that he mentioned it, I remembered. This time, I had actually forgotten Jiyu Xingran's birthday. Mom cooked dinner tonight. Let's go over together after work to celebrate his birthday, he said with an ingratiating expression. Since returning to this life, I haven't seen Jiyu Xingran yet. In my previous life, after being dismissed from the hospital, I went home to take care of him full time. Every day revolved almost entirely around him. But in his eyes, I don't have a job, I'm strict with him, and I have no redeeming qualities. I completely failed to meet his ideal image of a good mother. This time, I'm giving him a choice. Okay, I agreed. After getting my confirmation, his face lit up with joy. Then I'll pick you up after work. With that, he jogged over, stuffed the breakfast in his hand into mine, and quickly ran off. I raised my hand to look at the nearly cold shumai in my palm, then walked to the trash bin and threw it away. As soon as work hours ended, he stood unusually punctually at the office door waiting for me. Holding a cup of grapefruit tea in his hands, it was my favorite drink when we were dating. Seeing me, he handed it over like offering a treasure. I bought this especially for you, a passing nurse teased. Dr. Gu, you're so good to Dr. Shu, the grapefruit tea from that shop requires a long wait in line. Thank you, but I stopped liking it a long time ago. Ezra Gu froze for a moment. I still took it and handed it to the nurse. Want some? Here you go. The nurse sister happily accepted it. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Thank you, Dr. Shu, she said cheerfully before walking away with the milk tea in her arms. Ezra Gu opened his mouth but ultimately said nothing. I walked ahead of him, glanced back and asked, aren't we going to celebrate Xingran's birthday? He snapped out of it and caught up with me. In the car, he was unusually chatty, trying to keep the conversation going, even throwing in a few lame jokes occasionally. I leaned my head against the window and stayed silent. Perhaps the atmosphere was too awkward and eerie, so he finally quieted down. More than half an hour later, the car stopped at the entrance of his parents' residential complex. I followed him into the elevator. Before we even stepped out of the elevator, we could hear Jiyu Xingran's cheerful laughter. In the living room, Jiyu Xingran was fiddling with the latest toy in his hands. His grandmother came out of the kitchen carrying a plate of crabs, followed by Lena Chi, who was helping. She looked in Jiyu Xingran's direction and asked, Xingran, do you like this gift Auntie gave you? This was specially brought back from abroad by Auntie's friend for you. Oh, and Auntie also bought you some chocolate. I'll give it to you later. I love it. I absolutely love it. Auntie Lena, you're the best. And I really want to eat chocolate, but Mom usually doesn't let me. While answering her, Jiyu Xingran jumped in front of her and hugged her, acting coquettishly. Mother Jiyu turned to look at the two of them, unable to hide her approving expression as she praised Lena Chi. Lena, you're so thoughtful. That Chen Myra Ching is just too extreme. She won't let Xingran eat this or that. Poor Xingran, having to put up with her. I wouldn't let Jiyu Xingran eat chocolate because he's allergic to cocoa-based products. Once, when I wasn't paying attention, he took chocolate from someone else, vomited immediately, and had diarrhea all night. Seeing me standing quietly at the door watching this scene, Ezra Jiyu coughed and then called out to Jiyu Xingran inside. Xingran, Mom and I are here. However, Jiyu Xingran only glanced up at us, reluctantly hiding behind Mother Jiyu. She muttered, why did Mom come too? I wanted to stay at Grandma's a bit longer. I entered the room, glanced at Lena Chi, and before I could say anything, Ezra Jiyu stepped forward to explain, I didn't call Lena Chi over. Lena is here because I invited her. She's my goddaughter now, so asking her over for a meal isn't too much, is it? Mother Jiyu said, looking at me with displeasure. Goddaughter? Yes, Lena is such a clever and sensible girl. I really like her. If Ezra weren't already married, I would have hoped. Mom, Ezra Jiyu quickly interrupted Mrs. Jiyu. Today is Xingran's birthday. Don't say such irrelevant things. Mrs. Jiyu reluctantly fell silent. Sister Myra Ching, please don't be angry. I get along well with Auntie. And because I lost my parents early, I've always longed for family affection. I'm just Auntie's goddaughter. I won't pose any threat to you. If you really mind, I just won't come anymore. Hey, Lena, why are you saying so much to her? I won't allow you to stop coming. Let's eat. Dinner is ready. Ezra Gu, afraid they might say something more, quickly changed the subject. He pushed Mrs. Ji-yu into the kitchen to bring out the remaining dishes, and Lena Chi followed them in upon seeing this. For a moment, only Ji-yu Xingran and I were left in the dining room. However, he was completely absorbed in fiddling with his newly acquired toy, ignoring me entirely. "Xingran," I called out. He looked up at me, unhappy that I had interrupted him. "Come here, Mom wants to talk to you." Only then did he slowly come over, plopping down in a seat one spot away from me. "I want to ask you a question. Would you be willing to live with me if Mom and Dad get divorced?" He looked up at me for a few seconds, then suddenly burst into giggles. I was stunned. I had imagined many possible reactions, but this was the one I never expected. I don't want to live with you. If you and Dad get divorced, no one will always be controlling me. Then can Dad marry Aunt Lena? That means Aunt Lena would become my mom, which would be so great. I've always dreamed of Aunt Lena being my mom. Very well, the last bit of fantasy is gone. He's just like in his previous life, still completely devoted to Aunt Lena. Then I respect his choice. Ezra Gu came out carrying the dishes, then she naturally sat down beside me. I saw Lena Chi's expression change, then she deliberately sat down on his other side as if by accident. He picked up a piece of braised pork and placed it in my bowl. "Myra Ching, eat more." Not only Lena Chi, but even Mother Gu was stunned, because such actions used to be directed only at me by him. The meal was eaten with everyone harboring their own thoughts. As it was about to end, seeing everyone present, I decided to tell them the news of the divorce. I put down my chopsticks. "Mom, Ezra, and I have something to tell you." Seeing me suddenly become serious, Ezra Gu abruptly paused. He looked at me with a somewhat uneasy expression. "I'm preparing to leave with Ezra. Myra Ching, I'll go get you some soup." He suddenly stood up and loudly interrupted. I glanced at him, with no intention of letting it go at that. "We're planning to get a divorce. Myra Ching. This is the chicken soup your mother spent all afternoon making. You must have some." He seemed to ignore what I had just said, turning around to get a bowl and serve me some soup. I remained silent, stood up, and grabbed my bag to leave. He grabbed my arm, his tone almost pleading. "Myra Ching, I won't agree to a divorce." Beside us, Mother Gu snapped out of her shock and abruptly stood up. "Ezra, divorce her. What does she think she's got that's so special? After leaving you, who'd want a second-hand woman like her? Perfect, then Lena can rightfully become my daughter-in-law." I couldn't be happier. Lena Chi, standing beside her, couldn't hide the delight in her eyes upon hearing these words. "All right then, I'll wish these two a happy union in advance." I shook off Ezra Gu's hand and replied to Mrs. Gu. After speaking, I glanced at Gu Xingran, who had been sitting quietly eating his meal the whole time. "Xingran, from now on, you'll live well with your father and grandmother." "Mom, stop talking nonsense," Ezra Gu shouted. I seized the chance to open the door and entered the elevator. Unexpectedly, he chased after me and ran out. "Myra Ching." I didn't turn back when suddenly a scream came from upstairs, then Mother Gu's shrill voice rang out. "Ezra, come back quickly. Lena has fallen." Ezra Gu halted his steps. I turned to him. He lowered his head, no longer meeting my gaze. "Ezra Gu, don't lie to me or yourself. You simply can't ignore Lena Chi." "No, Myra Ching. Believe me, I'll resolve everything. Give me 3 days. After 3 days, I'll give you a satisfactory answer." With that, he turned and walked away. I watched his retreating figure disappear once more, feeling somewhat helpless. How many times has it been, over these 7 years? How many times has he left me with just his back because of Lena Chi? Ezra Gu, I won't change my mind. These past 3 days, I heard that neither Ezra Gu nor Lena Chi came to work. 3 days later, Ezra Gu appeared at the door of my dorm room. He looked much more haggard, with a stubbly beard and dark circles under his eyes. He handed me a document. I took it and opened it. It was the divorce agreement I gave him, and he had already signed his name on the last page. I raised an eyebrow, put it away, and prepared to close the door. "Myra Ching," he called out to me. Lena Chi has been hospitalized these past few days, so, there's no need to explain to me. I shook the divorce agreement in my hand. "From now on, we have no connection whatsoever. No matter who you're with, you don't need to report to me." Lena Chi tried to kill herself. Hearing this news, I wasn't shocked. I asked him, "Oh, so she's finally stopped pretending?" He lowered his head and stopped looking at me. With a loud clang, I shut the door. He was left outside, and I heard a faint apology. Myra Ching, I'm sorry, looking at the signed divorce agreement in my hand. I only felt a sense of relief. Finally, I've managed to crawl out of this quagmire. Ezra Gu, I hope that in your upcoming car accident surgery, Lena Chi will do everything in her power to save you. I won't be touching this murky water again. A week later, Lena Chi returned to the hospital with a radiant glow on her face. No one could tell that her vibrant appearance had once been through a suicide attempt that nearly landed her in the ICU. Along with her return came an enormous diamond ring. At lunch in the cafeteria, she and her friend deliberately chose seats right behind me. The deliberately raised volume made sure I wouldn't miss a single word. Lena, that huge diamond ring of yours is absolutely stunning. It's from Chalmette, right? Seems like Dr. Gu really went all out. Oh, this amount of money is nothing for him to casually spend. Besides this, he's also bought me several rare leather bags. He said as long as I like them, these things are no big deal. Dr. Gu truly loves you. You're really lucky. Dr. Gu is the heartthrob of so many female doctors and nurses in our hospital. Who would have thought you'd snag him right after his divorce? The girl beside her flattered. Another girl quickly chimed in. Lena, when are you and Dr. Gu planning to hold the wedding? We're thinking next month. My mom went to check the dates and said there are a few auspicious days for marriage next month. Oh my, you're already calling her mom so soon. Lena Chi blushed shyly and said with a bashful smile, she's always liked me a lot, so as soon as Ezra and I decided to get married, she asked me to call her mom. By the way, this jade bracelet on my wrist was also given to me by her. She said it's a family heirloom passed down to daughters-in-law in the Gu family. Oh my, you're so lucky. Dr. Gu is perfect in every way. The only downside is that he's been married before and has a child, otherwise, he'd be absolutely flawless. Not at all. I really like children. I get along so well with Xingran. He often tells me I treat him even better than his own mother. He keeps telling me how much he likes me, saying he dreams of having me as his mother. And what's more, on the day I was discharged from the hospital, he even called me Mom. After saying this, a sudden exclamation was heard. She turned around, covering her mouth in surprise and said, Oh my, Dr. Shu, you're here too. Please don't misunderstand. I didn't mean to show off in front of you on purpose. I just feel so happy that I wanted to share my happiness with my friends. Did I upset you? I smiled, put the chopsticks down on the bowl, leaned closer to her ear, and whispered softly, How could that be? Someone picked up the trash I didn't want. I couldn't be happier. You could say it's a good use of waste. Shu Myra Ching. You, her expression instantly changed, and she stood up angrily. Don't be a sour grape just because you can't have it. Everyone knows how much you used to like Ezra. Now that he doesn't want you and is marrying me instead, you're just spouting nonsense out of jealousy. Aren't you? This is the first time I've seen her so flustered and furious. I patted her shoulder with a smile. Lena Chi, you should keep up the act a bit longer. Don't reveal your true colors to Ezra Gu right before the wedding. What if your persona collapses and ruins the innocent little bunny image he has of you? Wouldn't that be a case of the gains not outweighing the losses? Don't worry, I heard every single word you just wanted me to hear, loud and clear. I wish you both eternal happiness here, sharing joys and sorrows, staying together forever. Let neither of you re-enter the market to trouble others again. Just stay tightly locked together. That would be your greatest contribution to society. I was holding my tray ready to leave when suddenly Lena Chi stuck her foot into the aisle and tripped me. I immediately adjusted the position of my hand holding the tray, and at the moment of the fall, everything in my hands was flung onto her face. Ah! With a scream, I saw Lena Chi's hair and face covered with the leftovers and egg drop soup I had just thrown. Just as I was about to get up, a pair of hands reached out from behind to help me stand. I turned around and met Ezra Gu's concerned gaze. Myra Ching, are you okay? I immediately straightened up and put some distance between us. A hurt expression flashed in his eyes. Ezra, Lena Chi, seeing this, stood still and called his name plaintively. Shu Myra Ching did it on purpose. She splashed me. I lifted my hand to examine the scraped skin, then looked up at the surveillance camera hanging from the ceiling and said, Who did this on purpose? The surveillance footage will make it clear. She immediately shut her mouth. Lena Chi, with so many people here today, let me make this clear. I have not the slightest interest in whatever happens between you and Ezra Gu in the future. If you don't provoke me, we can still work together peacefully. But if you insist on targeting me, I'll expose every last bit of your dirty little secrets with Ezra Gu. With that, I walked out without a hint of hesitation. Behind me, Lena Chi's voice was filled with complaints and grievances. A week later, the day had finally arrived. A colleague sent me the flight details, and I packed my luggage. Ready to hail a taxi to the airport, as I reached the entrance, a familiar car was parked by the gate. Ezra Gu stood beside the car, holding his phone to his ear. Alright, I'll go buy the cake you like from that shop later. Okay, my heart sank. No surprise, this call must be from Lena Chi, only in this lifetime. The cake became something she asked him to buy. Seeing me, he walked towards me, going on a business trip. How long? 2 or 3 months? Should I see you off? I gave him a strange look, moved a bit further away, and shook my head to refuse. No need, he awkwardly withdrew his hand. Myra Ching, can we still be friends? Just then, the ride I had called pulled up in front of me. I opened the car door and got in. Before leaving, I rolled down the car window and said one last thing to him. Ezra Gu, sometimes fate is in your own hands. You, take care. Under his puzzled gaze, I rolled up the window and drove away. In the airport lounge, over a dozen messages suddenly popped up in the workgroup chat. Dr. Gu was in a car accident, right near the hospital. The ambulance is bringing him to the hospital now. Seeing this, I exited the chat, turned on airplane mode, and boarded the plane. It wasn't until 3 hours later when we landed that I turned my phone back on. The group chat was already flooded with messages. Lena Chi personally performed surgery on Dr. Gu. Dr. Gu is in critical condition. Oh no. I heard Lena Chi was involved in a medical accident. I scrolled through the screen, finally piecing together a complete story. Ezra Gu got into a car accident on his way to celebrate Lena Chi's birthday. Lena Chi personally performed surgery on her fiancé, but he became infected during the procedure and didn't make it. When Ezra's mother arrived at the hospital after hearing the news, she completely broke down. She caused a scene at the hospital, demanding that Lena Chi pay with her life for her son's death. The hospital is in complete chaos now. Lena Chi has also been temporarily taken away for investigation. A nurse who was part of the surgery team came out and said, Dr. Gu was conscious for about 10 minutes before he passed away. He was crying and seemed to be saying something like I'm sorry, Dr. Shu, and also why won't you save him? Ezra Gu has passed away. Lena Chi is under hospital investigation and currently suspended from duty. Gu's mother hates her to death, bringing relatives to her house every day to demand compensation. In the end, Lena Chi not only sold her house but also gave all her savings over the years to Gu's mother. However, she still remains resentful, causing trouble in the hospital every day. The hospital had no choice but to persuade Lena Chi to leave. She also lost her job. Jiu Xingran was sent to a boarding school by his mother. By the time I returned from training, it had already been over a month since everything ended. I was promoted as scheduled and finally became a chief physician. 3 years later, I was about to go to the supermarket to buy some things after work. Just as I left the neighborhood, I was bumped into by a figure, and my phone fell to the ground, shattering the screen. He covered his face and was about to run, but I quickly grabbed him. At that moment when he turned around, my breath caught. This kid was Jiu Xingran. Xingran. He's lost so much weight, and the mischievous glint in his eyes has faded considerably. Hearing me call his name, he couldn't hold back anymore. With a loud sob, he threw himself into my arms. Mom, between choked sobs, he cried, Mom, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. I missed you so much. Just then, a little girl came running up from behind me. Mom, you forgot your keys. Jiu Xingran was momentarily stunned. I turned back to hold the girl's hand and introduced her to him. Her name is Larry. The girl was the child I had saved by the seaside in my previous life. In this lifetime, I found her on the day of the incident, went to the beach, and brought her to safety before the waves could sweep her away. Later, she told me she had gone to the beach to catch fish, wanting to make some fish soup for her grandmother. She had no parents. From birth, Her only family memory was of a grandmother who collected trash to make ends meet. When her grandmother fell ill, she decided to go out and find something to nourish her. I left her my phone number at the time, telling her she could contact me if she was in trouble. Later, when I received her call, it was the day her grandmother passed away. I helped her with the funeral arrangements. Before leaving, looking at her sensible self, an idea came to my mind. I crouched down and asked her, "Larry, would you like to be Auntie's daughter?" I adopted Larry. She was very well behaved and sensible. Jiyu Xingran hesitated before speaking. She just called you Mom." I nodded. Children don't yet know how to hide their disappointment." He lowered his head and turned away blankly, his backpack on his shoulders. Just as he was about to disappear from my sight, I called out to him, "Xingran." He turned around in pleasant surprise. "If you're not happy staying at Grandma's, you can come back to Mom." He interrupted me, smiled at me, and said, "No, Grandma has been very good to me, Mom. I just wanted to say sorry to you. Back then, I was too immature." After saying that, he quickly ran onto the bus. A lump of bitterness rose in my throat. Perhaps, this time, he truly regretted it. Later, it was said that Lena Chi found a new boyfriend and was already engaged. On the wedding day, Gu's mother brought a group of people and completely wrecked the wedding venue. At the wedding, she revealed everything about Lena Chi's previous marriage to her son. Lena Chi was rejected by the man before the wedding. Before leaving, Mrs. Jiyu told Lena Chi to abandon any thoughts of remarrying, warning that as long as she was alive, Lena Chi would never have a good life. However, none of this has anything to do with me anymore.